Hello and welcome. Different location, same crypto update. So, what's been happening this week? How is it affecting things? And in fact, what has happened so far this year and what is likely to come from here forward? Well, first of all, let's have a look at cryptos. First 6 months of 2025 and what that might mean for us moving forward. Well, first and foremost, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up 14.27%, despite the fact that we've had trade wars over tariffs. We've had US strikes in Iran. We've had higher for longer rates. All of these things on their own, you would have expected would have been detrimental to the value of risk on assets and in particular the likes of Bitcoin. Yet Bitcoin is up 14.27%. This is quite amazing. Well, what does it mean for altcoins? Well, the biggest altcoin that's out there, Ethereum, is actually down over 26%. It's getting added to treasuries. The ETFs are on fire. The ETF Foundation has really pushed on institutional adoption. So we've seen a minus 26% overall for the year so far, which of course is could be seen as quite a negative story. However, if you look at the chart, you can see that it was down significantly more than that and has made a significant recovery since. Now, while it's still down 26% overall, it seems to be moving in a positive direction. Like we say, we can see what's happening now with the likes in ETFs, institutional adoptions, and so on. And the picture looks very positive from here. Where to from here? Well, let's see. Another, of the biggest altcoins that are out there is Solana. And again, with Solana, we also see that this is down 21% for the year. So we see Bitcoin is done, up nearly 15%, and we see both of these down over 20%. So there's a real divergence happening when it comes to Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins. And these are some of the biggest altcoins out there. In both cases, they've recovered since April, but they're still down a significant number. What else is happening? Well, how do we move forward from here? What is it that would cause us to have a positive end of year or a positive second half of year? Well, number one, yeah, we would need to see the US strategic Bitcoin reserve. So far, they've put in place that they can seize the Bitcoin and put that into the reserve. Next, they would need to build the reserve infrastructure, and that appears to be happening. And then they want to put in place a position where they are allowed acquire Bitcoin, but not at the cost of the taxpayers. If this is put in place, it would be hugely bullish news for crypto and certainly Bitcoin in particular. The Genius Act would need to be passed. It has actually passed the Senate and is now moving to the House of Representatives. It is believed this is going to be passed really soon, possibly this week, maybe next week, and then it's going to President Trump to sign. He wants it as fast as possible. As soon as he gets it, he'll be signing it, and this will come into play. This has huge implications for stablecoins, and already we can see that stablecoins are growing by billions of dollars every week. So a huge growth there. The next would be the institutional trends. And of course, we've seen that we have Bitcoin corporate treasuries, many companies coming out with that. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, was the first, but many more following suit now. Ethereum treasuries coming into place, and they are showing to be very successful. Prices going up dramatically, shares of the companies that have taken Ethereum treasury strategy. On top of that, we see new altcoin ETFs, many in place now. And the SEC just yesterday has officially approved the first ever multi-crypto index ETF in the US history. It includes XRP and Solana and others. However, just today, they've come out and actually put a block on this, but it's likely this is just a short-term thing and that this will come true over the next week or two. Huge news for altcoin ETFs. Again, it's for the bigger ones that are out there, but this is seen as being another really positive step and something that can open up the door for altcoins also to start catching some of this wave. Number four is the US dollar weakening. The US dollar has been weaker than it's been for years, and it appears that it's continuing in that direction. A weak dollar tends to be really good for risk on assets, and of course has shown true when it comes to likes of Bitcoin and altcoins in general. And of course, there's the ISM PMI, and this needs to blast through 50. Every time it goes above 50 in a strong way, that is proven to be usually good for the altcoin season, and this is particularly important for the altcoins. We can see here it is moving up. In the last month, it's moved from 48.5 to 49. Not a huge move, but at least it's in the right direction. But once this clears 50 and does that in a strong way, we have seen from the past, this can be a huge indicator for the altcoin season. Are we ready just yet? Well, we'll see. Importantly, overall, in post-election years, we can see in the S&P performance. So generally, July tends to be the strongest month in post-election years, which of course we've just moved into, and which has seen an average annual return of 7.9% since 1950. So the S&P 500 is currently outpacing its typical post-election year, as the chart below is illustrated. And in this chart, we can see that usually over the year, so following an election year, the following year, in general, returns just under 8%. Already halfway through the year, we're at 5.5%, and that's despite the huge pullback that we had in April. So this would indicate at the moment that it's in position to outpace its usual year after an election. Stocks have finished higher in July for 10 years in a row. So July tends to be a really strong year, and after an election year, it tends to be a strong year. Compared to the typical first half of any calendar year, 2025 is ahead of schedule. The index has grown 9.48% annually since 1950, and roughly 5.5% year-to-date gain in 25 is better than average. The S&P 500 is coming off 2 consecutive years of more than 20% returns, one of them at 26%, a rare feat that's happened just 6 times in the last century. Historically, the year after follows average of 8.2. Again, we're well past that. We see reasons to expect this bull market to continue, and the strength the last 2 months only further confirms this, according to Ryan Detrick, the chief marketing strategist for Carson Group. So basically, the market is bullish. No matter what we've seen over the last 6 months, we have seen both the S&P and the likes of Bitcoin react positively overall. Both are up and up strongly. So most people now believe that the rest of the year is going to behave in a really strong way based on all these indications. But is that actually going to happen? It's always wise to look at, if everybody's agreeing in one direction, there's a good chance the contrary might be the way to go. But what else do we see? So the jobs market, and this is really important. In jobs, the hiring is slowing to multi-year lows. The JOLTS data out Tuesday showed layoffs dropped by 188,008, but the number of new hires also fell by 112,000, which is significantly below pre-pandemic levels. The ISM data also shows Tuesday's manufacturing remains in contraction territory, and the sector has slowed hiring. So with this, on Wednesday, the ATP payroll showed a surprise decline of 33,000 private sector jobs in June, a decline, a wide miss from 98,000 gain economists had forecasted. So not only had it missed it, not only is it a less number, but it's actually a negative number. So a huge gap in what the expectations had. It's only the second negative print since 2020, and most of the losses came from small businesses. That's the ISM. So the bottom line here is this. The market appears to be pointing towards risk on assets doing really well for the rest of the year. There's many indicators to show that there's lots of positive news coming towards crypto, and particularly Bitcoin. But is it set up yet for an altcoin run? It appears that Bitcoin is likely to do well due to the demand coming from institutions, from the regulation that's coming into place. There's many indicators to show that it should do well. With the dollar weakening, this is another bolster to risk on assets such as the S&P and the likes of Bitcoin to do well. But the key question here is, are the altcoins going to follow? And if we're looking for the ISM to get above 50 and beyond in a strong way in order for the altcoin season to happen, then these numbers on the job roles market, especially for small business, which is directly linking into the ISM numbers, would suggest that we're not there yet. Are we going to have an altcoin season? I believe absolutely. Is it ready to go just yet? I don't think so. I don't think we're just there yet. It's going to take a little bit more patience. I think Bitcoin will continue to bull on in general terms. There will be pullbacks. It will grow over the longer term, I believe. But altcoins, not just ready yet. Time to get positioned, time to get knowledgeable. This is an opportunity. Be patient and take the opportunities that are there. There's a huge amount of information on there. We are continually bringing out new opportunities to people. Keep an eye out, and we'll talk to you all on the next one.